All right, so former Florida Governor Jeb Bush kicked off his trip to Europe yesterday. He already started his tour with a bang. Ready to listen to this?
We don't want to make it sound like we're against Russia. Ultimately, Russia needs to be a European country. And ultimately, I think to deal with Putin, you need to deal from strength. He's a bully.
Yes, Jeb Bush calling President Vladimir Putin a bully. A great place to start our roundtable. And with us now is the co-host of the Daily Wrap and political contributor to Forbes.com, Rick Ungar. Thanks for being with us, Rick.
Hey, guys. Always a pleasure.
So what do you think about Jeb Bush calling Vladimir Putin a big bully?
Oh, I think you find it hard to find anybody who disagrees with that. I didn't find a particularly dramatic statement. He is a bully.
Yeah, not a dramatic statement, but...
No.
And worse.
At the same time, we look at what Vladimir Putin, Rick, is doing in Eastern Europe right now, and apparently he's poised for another invasion of part of the Ukraine or Moldova or someplace like that. In the meantime, you have the former Florida governor over there in Germany making these statements. To what effect, though? Is it more for his political campaign to make him look like he's strong on the international stage, or do you think anybody in Europe is actually listening to him?
No, I think it's clearly more for his political campaign. And by the way, I'd be a little bit cautious about saying he's poised to make that attack. He may be. There are some indications, but there are also indications that he's just trying to rattle our cage. So we'll have to wait and see over the next few weeks. But as for Jeb Bush, of course it's for his campaign. It's to show that he has strong feelings and that he can attract the interest of people in Europe. I don't know that he is attracting that much interest. I'm sure there'll be some photo ops with some world leaders so he can convey the message that he knows them, he can talk to them, but this isn't the sort of thing that has lasting effect. It's not like when Obama went and was speaking to crowds of hundreds of thousands.
What do you think about this campaign shakeup with him changing things around and adding campaign manager Danny Diaz?
Well, I mean, from what I've been able to find out, this was, you've got somebody really running the campaign. I apologize, I'm forgetting her name right now. She's really in charge, and apparently the last campaign manager and she did not see eye to eye on everything, and she tends to stay in control of things. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think we all know that the campaign has not been very good up until this time. There are a lot of campaigns out there that haven't been particularly good, some that have. Jeb Bush's campaign has not been persuasive. It has not been that effective. So it's not surprising that as he gets ready to announce that he'll be running for president, big shock, that he'd make these changes at this point.
Real quick question before you step aside for commercial break, Rick. Do you think Jeb's decision to delay all the way until June 15th his entry into the race is tied to his somewhat fundraising struggles at this point?
Oh, no. Well, I don't know that he's having fundraising struggles, but I do agree it's absolutely tied to fundraising because by holding off and saying that he's a candidate, he's been able to interact with his super PAC, which is where all the money raising is going on. It's I suppose, a clever way to approach it. I think he overdid it, and it's gotten him some flack.
All right, fair enough. And maybe he wanted to do a little bit more work in there before he jumped into the race. We'll be back with Rick Ungar right after this short commercial break.
And welcome back to Newsmax Now. We want to welcome back in Rick Ungar for round 2 of our roundtable. Thanks so much for sticking around.
And Rick, I know you wanted to follow up.
Pleasure.
We all kind of blanked there when you were talking about the woman who's really running the Jeb Bush campaign team.
It happens at my age. Her name is Sally Bradshaw. Her name is Sally Bradshaw, and she really is the power behind the throne, without question, of the Bush campaign. So that disagreement was between she and the now ex-campaign manager who's become the senior strategist.
Yeah, you don't mess with the so-called Jeb Whisperer, as Ms. Bradshaw's been known to be called.
No, the Jeb Whisperer is right. Yes.
All right, well, the saying goes, we look at the presidential campaigns, and before he was even running for president, Jeb Bush has fallen victim to this. And a lot of politicos do. Presidents should not put anything, or anybody running for president should not put anything on their heads because you don't know what could wind up in the actual photo op. Take a listen.
Here's the general rule. You don't put stuff on your head if you're president.
thankfully, we're in a good position still.
Okay, we all remember the Sarah Palin post
It still makes me
2008
laugh.
election when they were killing turkeys behind her. We just recently saw Chris Christie rounding the bases in baseball pants, and we can go back. Jeb Bush at the cash register scanners at a grocery store. These things sound silly, but we also can think about Michael Dukakis in a tank with a military helmet on. They
Right.
might be silly photo oops, but these things can really change voters' minds, can they not, Rick?
It's absolutely true. If I'm not mistaken, the axiom dates back to John F. Kennedy, who was a stickler for this and the first to understand what a bad idea it was. Yeah, I think the president's got it right on this one. Not a good idea.
Politico magazine published a series of photos, photo oops, history's worst political photo ops. Let's take a look at some of them. Do we have some more? There we go. Go back to it. I'm sorry, but
There's Bush at
you
the
know,
cash
the
register.
the hat didn't bother me as much, but really the turkey going on behind Sarah Palin, and I'm
grim.
sorry, that baseball uniform, I can't look at that with a straight face when I look at
the Chris Christie
with-
baseball uniform.
Are you with me?
I
on
don't know.
this?
I'm gonna cut him some slack. You know what? What the heck?
Yeah. It happens to us all. You know, look, I'm sure if you pulled up some of our old photos from back in the day, you'd be laughing
Yeah.
too.
This comes on the heels, of
Or
course,
new ones.
at the pig roast in Hog Ride in Iowa. And, I want to give Marco Rubio some credit for not showing up in a Harley jacket. But you can go back, I think it was George McGovern, who also, you have to be careful what you say because oftentimes these candidates are trying to connect. Some might call it pandering, some might call it connecting. But George McGovern saying,
do it.
I'll take a kosher hot dog and a glass of milk when he was trying to reach out to Jewish voters. And, of course, you can't mix milk and meat in that type of situation.
That's not going to
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, it's rare that I will say that you find me on the same page as Senator Rubio, but yeah, I totally got him in that hog ride. I mean, he made the statement that his parents taught him that motorcycles were dangerous. Mine did too.
Yep.
So
What
I thought he did behave right.
Speaking of Rubio, what do you think about this latest? We've been talking about it. We talked about it yesterday, but the New York Times op that ran about his finances. First it was the 4 speeding tickets and 17 years, and now he has student loan and mortgage debt. What was your reaction to that, Rick?
Well, there was much more to the second. I thought the article about the tickets was pretty stupid. I didn't have much time for that. However, the article that ran yesterday, and frankly, I've warned on my show that this was coming, had a lot more substance to it. The Rubio campaign tried to make it sound like, well, they're unhappy that he had student loans or something. That's not what it was about. It was about using the state Republican Party credit card to buy pavers for his front yard and to pay for a trip for his family to a reunion. It was about a lot of other things that most of us, even when we didn't have much money, would recognize as not the paragon of financial responsibility. And this is what he's running on. But I will tell you this, and I will also tell you that when I said this on the show last night, there was a very well-known Republican pundit who mentioned to me after that I had good sources when I said that there's a lot more to come on this when it comes to Marco Rubio. You've just seen the tip of the iceberg. I don't think you're going to find at the end of the day that he's everything that you may think he is, and I thought that the Times, they did blow it on the boat. It wasn't some 85-foot speedboat.
Well, he is
But
raising
otherwise,
money off of
It was
this.
a significant piece.
Both of these,
Yeah, he is,
both of
and
these New York
that's-
Times articles have been a boon for Marco Rubio's fundraising efforts, over
Yeah,
$100,000 here. But before we let you go, Rick, real quickly, we also want to talk about the president because he may have gotten busted while he was over in Europe, perhaps holding a pack of cigarettes. Should we let the
Right.
president have a smoke every once in a while, as the Washington Post suggests?
I don't think it's up to us to let him or not let him. If he's going to have a smoke, he's going to have a smoke.
We shouldn't maybe say he shouldn't be doing that,
Maybe
president?
we should just butt out.
Oh, there you go,
Would you like
Miranda.
that?
Yeah, maybe we should just butt out. That's what I was
All
trying
right,
to
I guess
say.
we all can, I guess we're agreeing with the Washington Post here. Let the
All
president
right.
have a cigarette already without
Rick
any
Ungar,
scrutiny.
always good to have you.
Always fun to be here.
Thanks a lot, Rick.